If you're wondering about the signs, I can explain them to you.
Sure.
They're
Well,
backed by
I'm
lots
actually
of...
wondering about the UU.
Oh, the U asterisk U?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit of a visual pun. This is the actual Unitarian Universalist acronym that Mary Bennett proposed back in 2003. Between 2003 and just a few years ago, they had the asterisk inserted between the two U's, supposedly to symbolize the inclusiveness of the Unitarian Universalist religious community.
Oh.
So I don't know if you see a visual pun there, but to give you a clue, the asterisk is what Kurt Vonnegut Jr., who's also a famous UU, refers to as a picture of an asshole. So I think you can maybe figure out what that says now.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit rude and in your face, but one of the things I'm doing is protesting against very rude and in your face behavior by Unitarian Universalists. So I don't mind using the term sucks ass to describe their own rudeness and defensiveness. Yeah, it's, now you get it. No, it was hilarious when I saw that. It was just too funny. It's anyway, they are no longer using that acronym.
Okay.
I think I persuaded them it wasn't such a good idea.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. If you want more information, just Google the church.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff on the web.
Oh, okay.
The main issues are the anti-religious intolerance and bigotry of some of the atheists. Not all of them, but a certain segment of the atheists are very anti-Christian. They think you're an idiot if you believe in God and so on. You don't want to come to church on Sunday and be told you're an idiot because you believe in God. And then, of course, related to that, in my case, it's clergy misconduct.
Okay.
In my case, the previous minister was one of those intolerant atheists. He labeled an interreligious event that it organized as a cult, which is not the worst thing you can say about anyone's religious activities these days. It's like calling someone a witch, not so long ago. He labeled me psychotic because I'm claiming a religious experience. And when I complained, to make a long story short, I was kicked out of the church. So here I am. Anyhow, so a young fellow. I don't believe I've seen him before, so maybe a prospective new member of the Unitarian Church in Montreal, or maybe someone who's just visiting. He could be a Unitarian from another church somewhere in Canada, United States. That's another possibility. But nonetheless, he was looking at my picket signs, and I explained them to him a bit, and he seemed to get it. He seemed to understand, and he also seemed to get a good chuckle out of the fact that Mary Bennett chose the fate of using Kurt Vonnegut Jr.'s picture of an asshole to symbolize the so-called inclusiveness of the Unitarian Universalist religious community. So yes, this picket sign does read "Unitarian prejudice and bigotry sucks ass." And yes, that is rude and offensive. But the fact of the matter is no more rude and offensive than things that Unitarian Universalist ministers are allowed to say with complete impunity by the Unitarian Universalist Association and the Ministerial Fellowship Committee. So yes, I'm making a point there by using that term. And the reason I use the word sucks, which is a word I would not normally use, is because Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Cynthia P. Kane, in the past described all Republicans as really mean people who do suck. And as well as that, there happens to be a blog created by Unitarian Universalists that slanders and libels me, and its title is the Robin Edgar Sucks blog. So when I use the word sucks on my picket signs, it's basically payback for Unitarian Universalists saying that I suck. And, you know, when they squawk about how rude and offensive it is, I say, well, you know, it's really no more rude and offensive than what you and your religious community allow your clergy to say about me and others. Now, I am not absolutely 100% certain that a Unitarian Universalist minister is behind the Rob Manette Your Sucks blog, but that's only because I haven't got absolute, final, complete proof. But put it this way, I actually do have considerable evidence that strongly suggests that a certain Unitarian Universalist minister is in fact responsible for the...
Need a little bit more room.
You've got tons of room there. So this woman's saying she needs more room even though I stepped off the sidewalk. And yes, okay, the edge of my picket sign was jutting perhaps 6 inches into the inner part of the sidewalk, but that leaves 80-90% of the sidewalk still free for her to pass on. So for her to say she needs more room is just silly. You know, she's basically pretending that I'm blocking the sidewalk when I'm doing no such thing. And that brings us back to the 5th of January of this year when I was right about here, coming up this way, and the former president was coming towards me, and I stepped right off the sidewalk. I stepped off the sidewalk and pulled in my picket signs in such a way that the sidewalk was completely clear, as it is now. But that didn't stop Margot Ellis, former president of the board of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, from barging right into me, elbowing me, and knocking me on my ass with a body check that might be worthy of an NHL hockey player, or perhaps a female rugby player. But the fact of the matter is that Margot Ellis, even though I gave her all of the sidewalk to walk on, didn't in any way block the sidewalk, barged right into me because, you know, she was just a vindictive little bitch who wanted to knock me on my ass for protesting. But that wasn't good enough for Margot Ellis. It wasn't good enough to assault me. When she did assault me, I you know, gave some consideration to calling in a assault complaint to the police. But I decided that, you know, it was a comparatively minor assault, and I wasn't sure if it was worth bothering the police about it. You know, I wasn't, to the best of my knowledge, hurt, although I must say that several days later I did have some pain in the area where her elbow went into my gut. But nonetheless, you know, I debated whether or not I should call the police about it, and decided not to, at least not immediately. I felt that if it came down to it, I could, you know, call them the next day or early the next week. But as I'm about to leave, about an hour after this assault, the police show up. And I indicate to them that I'm leaving, and so really there's no reason for them to be there. But they say, no, we need to talk with you. You know, that's not their exact words, but they indicated that they were there because they had received a complaint about me, and that they had to deal with that complaint. And it transpired that the complaint that they had received was that I had assaulted a Montreal Unitarian woman, and that I had knocked down a Montreal Unitarian woman when I'd done absolutely no such thing. So, you know, here it becomes increasingly obvious that Margot Ellis, good morning, Margot Ellis decided that, you know, it wasn't enough to just knock me on my ass with a body check. She needed to falsely accuse me of assaulting her. And she obviously got somebody at the church to support her in that false report to police, because the police claimed that they had eyewitnesses. In other words, besides the victim, or alleged victim, there were eyewitnesses to this assault. So obviously somebody was prepared to lie about seeing me assault Margot Ellis. So since they were there, not at my behest, but at the behest of members of the church. Pardon? Oui, c'est le prochain anneau. Oui, oui. The fellow just wanted directions to Sherbrooke Street, which just happens to be the next one up. But he also seemed to find my picket signs of some interest, possibly even somewhat amusing. I do try to have picket signs that are, at times moderately humorous, have a little pun or something. One of the best of those was my unsafe sect picket sign, which I haven't displayed for quite some time, but I think I'll maybe resurrect it for this summer, along with some other picket signs I haven't displayed for some time. But nonetheless, getting back to the whole Margot Ellis thing, this woman not only assaulted me, but then had the unmitigated gall to try to pretend that I'd assaulted her. So the upshot is that I told the police that no, they had it all wrong. There were no eyewitnesses to any assault by me on a Montreal Unitarian woman, because no such assault had actually happened. And I made it clear to them that I had video evidence of Margot Ellis assaulting me. And so I brought a assault complaint against Margot Ellis. And on top of that, I made it clear to the police that I want to bring a public mischief charge against her for
Sure, thank you. I'm really sorry you're so obsessive, Robin.
You know what? I'm really...
You're talking to yourself the whole time. It really sounds pretty crazy, Robin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's really crazy that Unitarians engage in perversion of justice? It's really crazy that...
Change your signs. You've seen them all, and they're really rude.
Well, they're talking about things that Unitarians actually do, my friend.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
See, you're in
really...
denial. That's your problem, is you're in psychological denial, my friend.
Oh, you're in total nuts.
Oh, I'm total nuts. Oh, well, that's what you people like to think. But if anyone's insane, it is you and your batshit crazy UUA leaders who are accusing me of the crime of blasphemous libel for telling the truth about Unitarian pedophiles and rapists. That's insane, my friend. Well, that's Aurelian Guillory. A classic example of total willful ignorance, total psychological denial of my protest. And he's accusing me of being obsessive in my protest. Well, there's only one reason I'm being obsessive.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to my camera, my friend.
Oh, and what does that happen? What happens then?
Well, then it goes on YouTube and you look like an idiot.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's not my fault, Aurelian. You really should practice what Unitarian Universalism preaches and engage in what's known as a free and responsible search for the truth and meaning of why I'm protesting. Because if you did, you would discover that you are wrong, badly wrong.
Get a life. There's got to be something more interesting to do. Being such a negative person.
I'm such a negative. You're the ones that insult and defame people. You're the ones that allow your clergy to shit all over people and do nothing about it. And then you call me negative. So yes, Aurelian Guillory putting in a wonderful performance. And yes, we do have this recorded. Wasn't sure if still had time left, but yeah, there's still over 5 minutes left on this segment. So yeah, this is going on YouTube. Aurelian Guillory in the past has stolen my picket signs. He has repeatedly engaged in all kinds of denial. He's being involved in numerous complaints to the police to try and end my protest. And here he is. He's in complete denial of any validity to my protest, and he's saying I'm nuts. He said to my face, I'm nuts. Well, who's nuts? Really? People who totally ignore a legitimate protest for 15 years, even 16, but basically we're coming up to what I consider to be the official 15th anniversary of my protest. My protest began in the spring of 1998. In May of 1998, I began my protest, and Unitarian Universalists have ignored it ever since. And the reason I speak about the 15th anniversary rather than the 16th anniversary is because there was a 1-year period in which I could not protest as a result of Reverend Diane Rollert obtaining a unjustified restraining order against me on the basis of perjurious lies on her part, as far as I'm concerned, and certainly paranoid fantasies on her part and the part of other Unitarian Universalists. So yes, it was a 1-year period when I simply could not protest as a result of the unjustified restraining order. I think the fact that the Unitarians were not able to extend that restraining order beyond the initial 1-year period only proves that it wasn't justified. If it was justified, they could have extended it, but that was not the case. Although there were threats to extend it by Sergeant Detective Scott Darrow. He threatened to have me arrested and so on and so forth, but I countered his threats with a complaint to the Police Ethics Commission, and they agreed that his behavior was unwarranted, and that he had no grounds to threaten me with arrest and so on. So, here we are. Another Sunday where Unitarian Universalists produce wonderful evidence of the incredible willful ignorance and psychological denial that is the reason for the fact that this protest has gone for 15 or 16 years, depending on how you want to count how long it's gone on. But yes, I personally will be celebrating the official 15th anniversary of protesting on the Unitarian Church of Montreal next month. And in terms of the mountain coming to Muhammad, the icing on the cake is that the Canadian Unitarian Council are holding their annual general meeting in Montreal this year. So they are coming to me, and I will be protesting at the Canadian Unitarian Council's annual general meeting when it's held in Montreal in the middle of May, less than a month from now, about 3 weeks, or perhaps a little over 3 weeks from now. And on that note, this clip is going to more or less wind up. But yeah, this one's definitely going on YouTube. We got about 1 minute 25 seconds left, so I may blather on a little bit. But this Aurelian Geary just sums up, why this protest has gone on so long. He accuses me of being obsessive. Well, no, who's really being obsessive here? The people who are really being obsessive are the Montreal Unitarians who refuse to acknowledge wrongdoing, obvious wrongdoing on their part, who refuse any acknowledgement that my picket signs actually have a foundation in reality. They refuse to acknowledge that they've engaged in perversion of justice when there's tons of evidence that they have. They refuse to acknowledge that they're good morning. They refuse to acknowledge that they've censored and suppressed me when there's all kinds of evidence that they have, including very recent evidence. They refuse to acknowledge that their clergy and other church members are guilty of various forms of prejudice and bigotry, and so on and so on and so on, according to Aurelian Geary and